and the Clinton, Illinois Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
You're listening to The Morning Show, streamed by clicking the WHOW live icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest in studio this morning is Tony Kirkman, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, and the WHOW Morning Show is streaming live to Facebook Live and our YouTube channel, and it's all brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Hey, good morning, Tony. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Seth. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. And as always, thanks for coming over and talking with us about all things Piatt County Mental Health Center. And I know you've been discussing and trying to promote a couple of things within, the world of mental health and mental wellness and those sorts of things. And one of those is the cost to run a behavioral health center like the Piatt County Mental Health Center. So talk a little bit about maybe some of the things that folks wouldn't know that maybe they would find surprising, and we'll dive into some of that from there.
Sure. So, I appreciate the opportunity. So we serve a primarily higher percentage of individuals that are on Medicaid, so under-resourced in a lot of different ways. And because we're a community mental health center, the state of Illinois reimburses us for a certain rate that's just slightly above $100 an hour. Mm-hmm. When listeners would hear $100 an hour, that's pretty good money, Tony. I would say yes, if it didn't have all the overhead costs associated with it. And so in a recent article in one of the papers that I helped contribute a monthly article to, I tried to break down what some of those costs would be. Obviously, salary and wages continue to be one of the larger expenses out of that. But a community mental health center also has to have administration, someone answering the phones. We have to have an accreditation. And so our accreditation is a $10,000 cost every 3 years, just to have a nice little shiny sticker that says we're accredited. Mm-hmm. And we go through a process to show that we have transparency, accountability, responsibility.
And there's probably cost to that process.
Oh, there's a very large cost for that. We have to have an electronic health record system that is not reimbursed. Mm-hmm. And so currently that's just slightly under $1,000 a month that I have to pay just to have the ability to record treatment plans and assessments. You obviously have to have your IT, your utilities, workman's comp, liability insurance, mm-hmm. and it goes on and goes on. And so really there's not a large, I can't even use the word profit margin, because it covers our expenses, but in reality, Seth, it prevents us from really providing our staff with a wage that is more reasonable compared to the private market. So that's why you're going to see a lot of community mental health centers struggling to retain their workforce because they simply cannot compete against the hospitals or the private practice rates. And quite frankly, that's because those entities, while they have some overhead, have a little bit more cushion to be able to absorb that.
Well, and they're profitable, organizations.
Absolutely.
And you're a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. And they don't see, I can't speak for the hospitals, but I can speak for private practice, is that their percentage of individuals that would be Medicaid or Medicare would be easily a third of what we see.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So they're taking more over the top every hour than what we would be able to.
So you said that it's what Medicaid reimburses about $100.
Yeah, a little over $100. Mm-hmm.
What, given, like, breaking that down to, $100 out of what per hour? Like, what would that ratio be? Like, how far would that $100 go if you had a ballpark guess?
It doesn't even cover the cost, Seth. It's so I use the example for like our psychiatric. So our psychiatrist that provides services for those that are Medicaid funded, I'm losing about $25 an hour.
Okay.
Uh,
Just that one service.
Right. So you got to think about how many businesses would be open if they were running negative $25 in the hole.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Not many.
With just one service.
With one service.
Not,
yes, sir.
not even the rest of the picture in the, in the equation there. So when it comes to, how do you make up those margins, and, why is the system so, lopsided like that?
Well, I think that we make up those margins because obviously we have other programs that perform better. We do have a population that is private insurance. So I want to eradicate the mindset that I heard when I first came to the mental health center. I went around the community and I said, what do you think is of the Piatt County Mental Health Center? And I will never forget, there was one older gentleman that said, oh, that's where the poor, crazy people go.
Oh gosh.
And I never forgot
Jeez.
that, because
why?
That's
just, I don't know. That's crazy talk. Like, just to have one person make that much of an impression. I don't know. Like, what one person says about me doesn't really factor into how I think about myself or operate, So like, for one person to say that, why did that stick so much with you?
Because I believe regardless of your payee source and regardless of what resources you have available to you, everyone has a purpose and everyone should be treated valuable and respectful.
Right.
And in all honesty, Seth, it's untrue. I think that was the other problem, was there was a narrative being communicated that I took personal offense to and said, I'm going to do my best to correct this. So we have very many clients that are private pay or self-pay, and they're all different walks of life. So while we do see individuals at a higher rate that are under-resourced, we are a community mental health center that serves the entire community, and our client list actually would reflect that.
Yeah, I'm sure, for sure. So you're able to make up those margins with the private insurance money that you can take in from other places, then basically
we're able to cover our costs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Makeup would be a great word. I mean, we're when we say nonprofit, there is no profit.
Yeah, the red is a little, or the black is a little thin, if
Yes,
there is
sir.
any. So very good. Well, and when again, Tony Kirkman is the executive director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, our guest in studio this morning. And the morning show again streams live to Facebook Live and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. So when it comes to the system itself, Tony, and I know we've had this conversation with, let's say tax dollars from the legalization of marijuana. A lot of that was, or not a lot, but some of that was supposed to go to places like yours. And you've told me over the last couple of years that this has been a legal enterprise in Illinois, that it's not coming your way. You're not seeing those dollars. What is the issue? Why, and for, I think everyone across the board agrees we need to funnel more money into agencies like yours, but we're just not. What's the problem?
Well, I am proud to say that the Department of Human Services, the Division of the Substance Use Prevention and Recovery, is slowly starting to release some of those dollars from the legalization of marijuana. So you're going to see movements in the addiction and treatment that they're trying to lobby for a 3% increase in service rates. So it's moving, which is good. My personal belief is we continue to try to fix a square peg problem with the same round peg. The system is completely upside down. So using my agency is, why is it that we're underfunding these community mental health centers so that they're not able to retain and attract the best professionals? And we have, I want to say in front of all your listeners, I believe we have the best practitioners in our area. They are amazing, and some of them have been with us for over 1, even 2 decades for our workforce. So our staff are phenomenal, but it makes it extremely difficult to keep them there because I can't pay them a wage that other people are paying. And that is because I believe the system is upside down. Why would you not want to pay your community mental health center that's dealing with individuals that are under-resourced? Why wouldn't you want them to be able to attract the very best and to keep the very best, so that those individuals that have limited resources or access to resources, or maybe more chronic mental health issues, they can actually learn to cope, work, and change generationally? So we're not just throwing money at the same issue, but we're actually talking about generational change. And that only happens when individuals have hope, when they have education. And I was told, when you have an external force pulling harder at you than an internal force that's keeping you in the status quo.
Sure. I think a lot of that is, politicians and, people in leadership positions, not necessarily like your leadership positions. I'm talking like a political spectrum. The forward thinking there is not generational. It's what's going to get me reelected next time around. What's going to get that person to punch my name at the ballot box type of mentality.
Absolutely. I think we're trying to duct tape a system that needs an entire overhaul.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you change that, Tony? I mean, do you have an idea of what that change should look like?
I think that you should pay staff and mental health centers what they're worth, to retain that workforce, to retain that level of professionalism. I think that you should give businesses an incentive of establishing an employee assistant program, so that it is not only encouraged but expected that people will address their mental wellness, because we know, one, from a worker standpoint, it's so much more efficient to retain a worker than to rehire one. So why are we burning out our workforce and stigmatizing mental health? Why wouldn't we want them to reinvest into their wellness, to be as healthy as they can, so they can be as efficient as an employee as we can? So listening to our staff, giving them feedback. Life is very complicated. Being flexible within the work environment if we can. I just think that, again, it's square peg, round hole problem. It's a total overhaul.
Sure. Do you correspond with lawmakers about this, and how receptive are they to what you have to say?
I do. I will say that we have a great relationship with Representative Dan Calkins, Senator Chapin Rose, and U.S. Congressman Rodney Davis. All of those gentlemen have been in our building, have interacted with our staff, and are great advocates for what we do. I think the problem is that you've got a lobbyist group, and you've got some people that have been in the system. I think the longer you're in the box, the more you can't think outside of it. And so I think we need a lot of people on the front lines, like my staff. I wouldn't even talk to me. I would talk to my staff. What are you seeing? And the best question that I've ever heard is, if resources were not an issue, what is one thing that would fundamentally change your program? That's a great question.
That is a great question.
Yeah.
What's your answer to that, as a someone that's kind of overall over the top of all these things?
I think you're seeing it in healthcare, but I think it can be pushed a little bit more. So before, healthcare was, let's make a really, really big campus that has all of these services. So it's like the Walmart of healthcare, and you come and you can just choose for everything. Healthcare now is moving in a different direction of saying, instead of you coming to us, we're coming to you. And so that's why you see some of these smaller clinics. And then the availability of telehealth has been great for us. That helps reduce a barrier of access to treatment. I think that there needs to be more case management services. So like you used to have way back in the day, visiting nurses or doctors to come and pay you a visit. We need some more. The term we're using right now is health coordinators. That's like, hey, let me spend some time with you, get to know you, resource you, and then teach you some self-efficacy, some agency, so you have control over the decisions you're making, and that you own your recovery or your treatment model.
Right. Sure. Very good. Tony, how do folks learn more about the Piatt County Mental Health Center?
Yeah. Give me a call, 217-762-5371, or visit us online, piattmhc.org.
Tony Kirkman is the executive director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center. Our guest in studio, the WHOW Morning Show streams live to Facebook Live and YouTube, and it's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal Opportunity Employer.
The DeWitt Piatt Bi-County Health Department encourages you to get vaccinated for the winter flu seasons ahead. Flu shots are available at both their Clinton and Monticello locations. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com, funded by the Illinois Department of Public Health.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
You and your loved one will love living here at Eagle Ridge Supportive Living Indicator. Marketing Director Carla Thomas here with some comments from one of our happy residents.
Everything's took care of properly. It almost looks like a resort compared to what it is. A very enjoyable place to live.
Eagle Ridge Indicator is affordable to everyone. Call me, Carla Thomas, for a tour at 217-872-1282. That's 217-872-1282 and start enjoying supportive living.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus, streamed on DeWittDailyNews.com, the WHOW mobile app, and Amazon Alexa. Plus, tune in for Best of Clinton Sports broadcast every Saturday morning at 10. All brought to you by Liberty Village, Nan Crane with Remax Choice, the 217 Home Team, Warner Hospital and Health Services, and Covenant Animal Clinic.
You're listening to The Morning Show, streamed by clicking the WHOW live icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. And again, my guest in studio is Tony Kirkman, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center. And the morning show streams live to Facebook and YouTube. And it's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Beacon Insurance agent in Clinton. Tony, I know we've talked about this the last several months, but it's finally here, and I'm sure you're very excited to get the ball rolling on the Illinois Youth Survey that's going to be going out to Piatt and DeWitt County students.
Yes, sir. So every 2 years, the U of I School of Social Work Center for, I always butcher the acronym, Center for Prevention, Research and Development, puts out a survey that students in the 8th, 10th, and 12th grades will self-report on a myriad of different topics of substance use, behavioral health issues, family dynamics, and other practices. And so 2020 happened, and we were geared up for the Illinois Youth Survey. It was supposed to happen in the end of March, and something showed up that kind of totally derailed our plans there.
I think I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's an illness that came through that we're still 23 months into. But this year we're excited. What's ironic was we were joking with a few administrators because we said, wow, is there just forces not wanting us to get this done? Because in 2 of our schools in the Piatt and DeWitt area, they were scheduled for last Thursday during the Snowmageddon.
Yep.
Yeah. But a lot of them have rescheduled. So they're actually happening this week. And I believe the end of February, beginning of March, we should be done. And we'll have all that research for both Piatt and DeWitt to let everyone know how they scored.
Now, how many schools are participating? You know, do you feel like you're going to get a good amount of students, the feedback that you're going to need to make this data, stand up, if you will?
Absolutely. We are thrilled, and I cannot say thank you enough to the superintendents and principals of all of the DeWitt Piatt school districts. This is going to be the first year we get them all. So we've got Clinton, Blue Ridge.
I venture, I guess they want this as much as you do.
Yes. We'll have DeLand, Weldon, and then all of the ones in Piatt. But again, I use these numbers. We were able to get Piatt's reports back, and as a county, almost 30% of the 10th and 12th graders pre-COVID self-reported thoughts of suicide. Mm-hmm. And almost 40% of them saying that they had experienced severe depression issues. So with COVID happening, there's a lot of things we're wanting to look at. We're wanting to look at mental health. We're wanting to look at the family unit. We're wanting to look at the impact of what legalization of marijuana has done. Have we made the progress that we were hoping we've made against the vaping issues that took place 3-4 years ago? And what are kids doing to cope with the obvious stress and strain?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Sure. A lot of things to go through. Now, when does all that data come back to you through those two entities putting this on?
Sure. So it takes about 5 months. And what's great about it is that school administrators will get school specific information. And then 5 months after the last school in the county has completed the data, we should be able to get ours back. So in the summer, everyone should have this data, and you'll be seeing me running all around both counties reporting the data, because again, we have to have data to know if we're making progress, and we need to know what our issues are to attack.
Sure. Very good. Tony, always good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks so much for coming. Tony
Thank you.
Kirkman is the executive director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, my guest in studio. Again, the morning show streams live to Facebook Live and YouTube, and it's all brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network News is next.
With SRN News.